Hey guys, the OMG BBQ Yay YouTube channel coming at you with a Arms Warrior spec rotation, pretty much the whole 9 yards that you will need to know how to play an Arms Warrior. In this guide, I'm going to be going over gems, enchants, spec, reforges, rotation, macros, and easy combinings to use as an Arms Warrior. So the first thing off is the spec. The spec is one of the most important things for an Arms Warrior DPS. As you can see, mine's very simple. This spec maximizes your DPS as a player. If you want this spec, I'm going to link my Armory down in the description. You can go check it out, try it, and see how you like it. I'm also going to be coming out with a Fury Warrior DPS guide for all you Fury Warriors, because I know there's a lot of you out there and a lot of people like it over Arms, but I choose Arms over Fury just for the more sustainable DPS. First thing I'm going to cover is gems. Pretty much for red, 40 strength, that's simple. For any type of yellow, you're going to want to do 20 strength, 20 crit. You don't want to do anything else. I know sometimes they can be a bit expensive, but in the long run, it will really help out your DPS. For meta, you're going to want the Rever Breeding Shadow Spirit Diamond, which is 54 strength and 3% increased critical strike. Requires 3 red gems. That's easy to get if you're going to follow my guide on Arms Warriors, which you are going to need red gems. On my server, they run between 300 and 400 gold, which, I mean, it isn't bad, but it's not cheap. For purple, you're going to want to do 20 strength, 20 hit, which in my gear, I don't have any purple gems because all of tier 13 is usually yellows and reds, which is kind of nice, but it can be kind of expensive for a lot of people, especially me, because I'm not really the money-making type. For reforging, this is going to be one of the most important parts. For reforging, what you want to do is be at least 25 or 26% expertise capped, which is the beginning of the soft cap, and at least 7 or 8% hit chance. Hit chance is one of the main reasons warriors lose DPS. Arms is very easy to hit cap, but Fury can be a bit trickier because you have so much miss. That is really why I don't choose Fury, is because you miss so much. Alright, so basically your main stats is strength, mastery, and crit. You always want, if you can get mastery and crit on an item that's plate, you want to get that over anything else. You don't want haste, you want crit, but if it's crit and haste, try to lean towards more something with mastery and crit. A good example is the boots from Raid Finder, which I have, which is mastery and crit. Very nice. T13 is relatively good if you're not hit capped. If you are hit capped, unlike me, you need to reforge the hit to crit or hit to mastery, whatever the piece has on it. Pretty much, it's basically crit and mastery is the only thing you really want to reforge to. If you aren't hit or expertise capped, you want to get that. That is your main priority, because that is how you lose out on all of your DPS, which is the main thing that Arms Warriors do. Is they're not, oh, I don't need this or I don't need that. You do need it. I mean, it is a priority. Going over my gear, it's relatively good, but it's not the greatest. About the only thing that really sets my DPS apart is the Experimental Specimen Slicer and the Bone Link Fetish. The Bone Link Fetish is your best in slot, normal and heroic. If you can only get Raid Finder, that's fine, because I know it's a shared boss loot, and it's harder to get. I mean, my guild's only seen it 1 or 2 times, but unfortunately, I was on my Feral Tank when it dropped. I know. Your best in slot, other best in slot trinket is the Rotting Skull from the Valor Point vendor, which is, I believe, 1,650. I'm not entirely sure. Don't quote me on that. And pretty much that's the main thing for gems and reforging. Moving on to enchants. Pretty much for enchants, you want 35 strength to gloves, mastery to gloves, or, well, that's pretty much it. For belt, of course, you want the belt buckle. That's very important, is to get the belt buckle. For leggings, I just got these, so I don't have it on there. But I believe it's the critical strike, the strength and critical strike, but I'm not quite sure on that because I haven't had to buy it in a patch, I think. Boots, mastery, just normally. If you're an enchanter, you're going to want to put 40 strength to both of your rings. Landslide on your weapon. I just ran a Dragon Soul, so I don't have any of these enchanted, but you want landslide on your weapon, and bracers, you want 50 crit. Priority is 50 crit to bracers. For chest, it doesn't really matter, but you either need to get 15 all stats or Peerless. I know Peerless can run kind of expensive on a lot of servers like mine, which is, I believe it's around 3,000 gold. For cloak, you want critical strike. Shoulders, you need to go to, I believe it's Therazane. Yes, you need to get Exalted with Therazane and get the 50 strength, 25 critical strike. That is the best shoulder enchant. For neck, there is no neck enchant. For helm, you want the 60 strength, 35 mastery, which comes from Dragon Maw Clan, which you need to be at least revered with, which is relatively easy if you quested there when you were leveling, like all people did, unless you did dungeons or BGs, like I did on many of my tunes, but I made sure I went there just because that little enchant is a big range of your DPS, and you must have it. Alright, now, I'm sorry if I'm talking too long, but I'm tired of seeing all these warriors that just don't know what they're doing, and it just makes me sad because I love my warrior. I've been playing a warrior since BC, and just warriors are just seems like they're always the freaking low dogs. No one plays them. Well, people play them, but they're either Proud or Fury. They never give credit to arms, which some of the top DPS in the top guilds is arms warriors. Sure, there's Fury warriors out there, but there's a few arms warriors, and you gotta give us credit. I mean, we're good. Alright, moving on to rotation. Pretty much, it's relatively easy. You want to start out with Battle Shout, like always. You want to go Charge, Rend, Colossus Smash, Thunderclap, Heroic Strike, Overpower, Mortal Strike. And you just want to keep repeating that rotation over and over. And at the start of the fight, you're going to want to pop Deadly Calm and Sweeping Strikes. That will help your DPS boost at the very start, because you're going to have that extra rage, and you're going to be able to have that extra, just one hit on the target. Like, seeing me here, just doing this rotation, it's easily 17k. Now, when I do macros, this is my main macro right here that I always use is, since I'm an orc, I have the racial Blood Fury, which gives me attack power. Dang, real ID. You want to do Blood Fury as a racial, / cast Blood Fury, use Rotting Skull, which it was early in my video, cast Recklessness, and cast Blade Storm. That alone on AoE pulls is ridiculous. I can get over 100k to 150k on certain AoE pulls in Firelands or Dragon Soul. I'll give you an example right up here on the training dummies when I pop it. Even on AoE pulls, you want to do rend, thunderclap, then pop it. As you can see, I get big crits. See, there's 25, 37, 42, 45. That's 46k that you did not have at the beginning of the fight. Now, this drops adds very fast and very effective. Pretty much another good binding is you want to unbind your S key as a warrior. You never want to back strafe. You never ever want to do it. The only reason I'm doing it is because I have the arrow keys. You want to unbind it so it does nothing, like I'm doing here. And then you want to unbind turning. This is probably one of the worst things I see in people, is they keyboard turn. You never want to do that. You always want a mouse turn, because even in PvP, you whip around. I mean, you're fast, boom, 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 you're done. Now, if, like, let's say, like, War Master, you're gonna be moving around. So you want to hold your right mouse button, and you want to use the strafing keys and circle strafe. That's like one of the main things you must do, is circle strafe. Alright guys, now I am moving on to glyphs. Glyphs is another very, very important thing. I always have Mortal Strike, so I have the 10% increased critical strike. You want that because when you crit with it, you get enraged and increases your damage done. You want that because when you do that, you get overpower proc. When that overpower procs, you get the 10% increased damage. Now this is my old spec, and I have slam. Some people lean towards the slam. I lean away from it because I'm a heroic strike one. Heroic strike can be better DPS in a way. If you have real problems with rage, you do want to go slam spec, but if you're not, then try and hybrid it, I guess, in a way. But, like, that's what I'm doing right now, and I'm not really liking what slam does. So I am going to substitute it for Blade Storm. Major glyphs, this is another very important one. I always have Heroic Throw, which I still need to change, Long Charge, and Rapid Charge. These reduces the cooldown so you can heroic leap away and charge back in, which gives you rage, which is very important for a warrior. And Long Charge increases the range so you can get in there faster, start doing the DPS, start owning it up, and be a good warrior. Now minors, it doesn't really matter, but I would really recommend going with the Battle Shout, Glyph of Battle, because it increases it by 2%, 2 minutes, and that is a big extra window. You don't have to move away and click. Another thing that really upsets me is people that click. You cannot do good DPS when you're clicking, because you have to slowly move your things around. You slowly have to click. That's why I recommend, if you really want to do the extra bit and you want to do that extra damage and you have a little bit of extra money, buy a mouse with more than the 2 main buttons. I know you can bind stuff to the scroll, but that can get a bit confusing, and especially for Arms Warrior, when you have so many spells and you only have a small window to do it. And I would recommend binding. Binding is another very important thing. R, F, T, G, C, X, Z, those are all near WASD that you use. So you can bind it to charge, throwdown, whirlwind, anything. I mean, I have it bound to my macro, which it's good. And you need to do it because you cannot be moving your mouse around, distracting you from the fight. You can die, you can get stunned, you can get slowed, you can miss what target you're going to hit, like on your Sage and Dragon Soul. Now, that will complete my guide today, guys. Please rate, like, favorite, all that stuff. It helps me out a lot. A lot of people don't realize it, but it helps a ton. And once again, thank you for viewing my video.